Madinabeitia is an associate professor at Mondragon University at the Faculty of Humanities and Education. Her main research area is multiculturalism, and hence she gives lessons that cover current immigration into the Basque country. She also trains pre-service teachers in dealing with cultural diversity in the classroom. In the last few years, she has been involved in areas that deal with Basque diaspora in the North American West, with an emphasis on Basque immigration and settlement through literature. So Monika, the floor is yours.
Okay, in today's presentation, I'm not going to be talking about literature. I'm going to be talking about Basque festivals in the American West, and although the context, the framework is cultural studies, the scope is largely anthropological. Okay, so the Basque government says, and this might strike you, but the Basque government says that there are almost 8 million Basque people around the world. Yeah, we have lots of local students here. What's the population of Euskal Herria, of the 7 provinces? Do you know? No idea. It's about 3 million, yeah? Euskal Herria, the 7 provinces. And the Basque government says that it is almost 8 million outside Euskal Herria, yeah? I don't know how they do the counting and all that, but it is, even though more, yeah, the population outside Euskal Herria is larger than the current population in the Basque country. According to the Basque government too, there are around 200 Euskal Basque centers scattered all over the world. You have a little map there. And out of these, 19%, which equals to 38, are located in the US. According to the 2019 census, almost 20,000 people feel only Basque, and nearly 63,000 feel that they are both Basque and American. Yeah. Another thing to analyze would be how this information was gathered and so on. But that's not today's aim. So historically, some of the elements and activities that have been parts or have been identified in the promotion of Basque identity, construction and its maintenance, as we can see, the food, drinks, that's meant to be a calimocho, concerts, music, mus, the cards game, choir singing, traditional dancing, and so on. In today's presentation, I will try to illustrate how Basque festivals of all sizes and types embrace all these elements and how these are the means to promote and give way to, for example, identity, construction, identity maintenance, political diplomacy, and public diplomacy. I don't know whether you are acquainted with the term public diplomacy, so just in case, public diplomacy is the US term. There are other terms used by other countries, but this is the one that I like best. And it's the term used to refer to the fact that international relations are not solely a matter of government-to-government contact. That is, it locates the practice of foreign public in the realm of civilian international relations. So this, for example, would be an example, this conference could also be an example of public diplomacy. So I have tried to, we're going to have a little look at the history of festivals, and I have tried to put them together chronologically in a sort of timeline so that it makes more sense and it's easier to follow. We could say that the Basque boarding houses, or the Basque ostatuak, as they were called in the States by the Basque people, are the beginning of all reunions, gatherings, celebrations, and so on. We could even there say that it was in these Basque ostatuas, or Basque boarding houses, that triggered this still latent sense of community that we see in the Basque diaspora. So that was like pretty much the very beginning of it. Boden houses were houses where first generations, especially men who had emigrated to look for a job in the United States, often as shepherds, that's where they stayed and that's where they actually lived, yeah, until maybe they got married, but if not, many of them just stayed there. Meals, as you can see in some of the pictures, although they're a bit blurry because the quality was not very good, meals were served on long tables, which means that they were sharing, socializing, they were speaking Basque, the mother tongue, yeah, and they were also somehow exchanging their home culture. Boden houses would also be like the hubs where Basques could exchange, as I said, their home culture. Incoming Basques would bring music from the Basque country. They would also bring instruments such as the accordion, for instance, the triquitisha. Yeah? So those were venues where, for them, even if it was private, that's when they could, be Basque in a sense and celebrate it, yeah? And this is, for example, where Jimmy Jausoro, who was born in Nampa, Idaho, very, very close to Boise, Idaho. This is where Jimmy Jausoro, whose parents owned Basque Ostatua, a Basque Boden house. This is where he learned how to play the accordion, yeah? He did not go to lessons, he learned it listening to other incomers, and that's where he learned his Basque songs and so on. And that developed into him playing in picnics, weddings, different types of celebrations. He even then had his own orchestra, and as you can see in this picture, he was the first to play for the Oinkari Basque dancers. And we could say that Jimmy Jausoro created some sort of tradition that still follows nowadays with Dan Ansotegi and many others. And then in our timeline, we would have picnics. There are loads of picnics. Picnics initially were not as private as the celebrations in Boden houses. They were a bit more public, but still not too large in size, and they were local, and only locals participated. That was at the very beginning. Picnics nowadays have changed largely. Okay, and 1959, this is where the first Basque Western Festival took place in Sparks, very close to Reno, Nevada, and this festival gathered for the first time ever around 5,000 people all over the US. So it was a huge celebration, a huge gathering from people from Basque first generations, second generations, yeah. And there was also some slight Basque Spanish presence, yeah. Some people think that this is the rite of passage. They think that this festival somehow represented the passing of Basques from being, let's say, misfits or unwanted, yeah, in the mainstream, to actually becoming an asset in the mainstream America. However, not everyone agrees to that. Some say that Basques were always well accepted, and they also mention the Boise Basque Week, which was in the much earlier, as the venue where this rite of passage took place. So there is some sort of debate here too, yeah? Okay, and a next major event would be the North American Basque Organizations, which was founded, and I'm reading, with the intent of combining the resources of Basque American organizations to preserve and to promote the Basque heritage. They now count up to 40 entities in their organizations. And as you can see from their website, there are tons of things they do in this promotion and preservation of Basque, of being Basque, of this ethnicity. So they organize events, they tell about all these events, not just festivals, but udalekus and tons of things, yeah? They also provide information about the Basque history, about the history in the Basque diaspora, also information from the Basque government. They are connected to the Basque government in the Basque country, and things the Basque government is doing, you know, for the diaspora, how to get grants, and so on. So they're very active in that sense. And then we have the very first jaialdi. Jaialdi is the Basque word for fiesta, yeah, which took place in 1987 in Boise. The venue was different to the venue nowadays, but because it was so successful, then they have been organizing jaialdi every 5 years, yeah. In fact, these are all the jaialdis that have taken place so far. And these are the covers of the booklets, and this would be like the inner sides of these booklets they give out. In these booklets, you usually have letters, welcoming letters by the governor of Idaho, the mayor of Idaho, of Boise, lots of, priests, entrepreneurs, business people, and then this, for example, is the Basque Lehendakari of the time, Ardanza, in 1987, so the Basque Lehendakari is usually present too. And then the booklets also have information about, because they're trying to instruct Basques and Basque Americans, so and foster their ethnicity. So they include information about the Basque country, some history of the Basque diaspora, not just in Boise, Idaho, but in all the states, in the American West. And then they have the schedule, of course, with all the activities and things going on, yeah? And most of it is in English, except for words like Sorionak, Eskerrik asko, Ongi etorri, and so on. So I've been analyzing the different schedules for the different jaialdis and some other smaller festivals and celebrations, and we could say that the ingredients, there are some basic ingredients that are present in all these different celebrations, regardless of the format or size. So it would be traditional sports, dancing, Catholicism, yeah. Masses are given, some of them are given in English, but others are given in Basque. There's actually a few Basque priests in North America, in the American West, that go from picnic to picnic and celebration to give mass. Then the card game Moose, which is popular, Basque eating and drinking, choirs, dancing to concerts or traditional dancing, and then concerts, yeah? And then not always, but it's become increasingly more popular in some parts. We have bertsolaritza, which is the improvised oral poetry singing. And then we've got, in most of the celebrations, there is something pedagogical or something educational, because this is not just, these festivals are not just organized to party and get drunk, and yeah, there is also some pedagogy to it, yeah. So there's usually, I don't know, lectures, exhibitions about the Basque history, about things going on in the Basque diaspora, new artists, Basque American artists emerging, and so on. And as opposed to smaller celebrations, what we see in the jaialdis, in all the jaialdis, is a very strong presence of politicians, yeah? Politics and diaspora are very connected, yeah? So these are pictures of the different lehendakaris in different jaialdis, yeah? These would be, the pictures are a bit blurry, but this would be Urkullu with the governor of Idaho. We'll see them later in a video if the clip works. Okay, so talking about politicians, I'm going to use the 2015 Jaialdi as an example of this political diplomacy that I was initially pointing out. This is Urkullu in his speech and the Jaialdi, and he says, "We have come to recognize that you have earned the respect of the society that has become your home. You have obtained this respect without giving up your Basque heritage. Basques from near and far have met in Boise to celebrate our identity and our culture." So he's sort of praising the Basque diaspora. "We have survived difficult periods in our long history. We are surrounded by cultures and languages much stronger than ours." So he highlights this idea of resistance, resilience. "We're a small country, but we have something few other cultures have: pride of belonging and a blind faith in democracy, social justice and peace. Our objective is to survive as a people, as a developed and peaceful country." So we can see some political ideology there somehow. And this text is in Spanish, but I have a more or less translation in English. Urkullu, this is on the Basque media, while he was in Boise. Urkullu highlighted that the feeling of belonging to an identity, such as the Basque, allows closer ties in political, social, economic, cultural fields. It is fundamental to value it because it is a point of reference in diasporization. That is in the, and here comes a tricky word, tricky in the sense that I get stuck when I say, that is in the internationalization, more or less, of Basque society. Basque men and women who go out into the world have a home here. And I'm now going to play a little video. If I can find, there it is. The video is in Spanish, it's from the Basque media, but it says, vale, eskerrik asko. And the video is Urkullu and the governor of Boise talking, and even the commentator says, well, that's the way I interpreted it, but it's although it's in Spanish, just for those of you who do not speak Spanish, he goes like, it's a bit like, all this belonging, all this Basque, but this is what's really interesting, the business, the money, So although I called it political diplomacy, in essence, it's business diplomacy, economy diplomacy, So let's have a look. A little bit of you scratch my back, I scratch yours, which is typical, but it's all this culture, all this ethnic survival, blah blah blah, but let's do business. So and well, the next Jaialdi will be in 2025. The 2020 Jaialdi was skipped because of COVID, so you still have time to arrange a visit. However, in the meantime, there have been and there will be loads of other celebrations in different sizes and formats, Loads of picnics, national festivals, Bertzolaris, any type. So if you're interested, just check, be alert. As for public diplomacy, remember, this was non-government, like civilians participating and so on. There are many examples, but I have chosen Nancy Zubiri as one of the examples. She's amongst other things, she's been the editor of Euskal Gazeta for many years now. And well, she does loads of things, but amongst other things, what she does is provide information about everything that is going on in the Basque diaspora and also in the Basque country. So she is connecting the two countries through her blog and through her research and effort. Zubiri has published 2 books so far. The first one talks about, well, families, but also feasts and festivals. And the second one, which has recently come out, talks about Jaialdi as a celebration of Basque culture. So we may say that what Zubiri does could be considered as public diplomacy, for she's somehow polishing or enhancing or maximizing the good image that Basques have in the American West. So this then gives way for politicians, for business people and so on to exchange, to trade, to do business. As for the idea of identity, construction and maintenance, we're going to play a little video by Nancy Zubiri.
My name's Sebastian. I'm from the Bakersfield Basque Club, and one thing I like about the Basque community is how tight it is with everyone and the relationships that I have with other kids my age that are Basque. Hi, my name's William Mendebaldeia. I love about being Basque is the community that it brings. I love the multi-generational relationships that I've built. That's really important to me. And also, having gone off to university, it gave me a base that I could come back to in something that I knew would sort of hold me down. I participated in the Klika, and I danced until I went to university. And I played Moose with my brother yesterday in the Moose tournament. So yeah, that's what I love about being Basque.
Hello, my name's Eneko Basa, and I am from the Rockland Basque Club. My favorite part about being Basque was growing up Basque, going to summer camps my whole life, and creating lifelong.
But today, it is such an honor. We have traveled half of the world away from the Basque country.
Yes.
It is such an honor that we are so successful in this country, holding our culture in such a high power, just highly estimated by everybody. And our younger generation, they are so proud of being Basque.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my kids are definitely being Basque. And the grandkids are coming.
I think whenever the kids at an early age, they are proud of their heritage, it may help them for the rest of their life, just give them a strong identity and personality. They are so proud of themselves. To any human beings that is proud of themselves, of their parents, their culture at a young age, has a better chance growing up and becoming a member of the society in any country of the world.
I'm Jovita Ruiz Cueli, and I'm coming.
So what we see in essence is that being Basque American rocks, yeah, it's being Basque American is connected to, well, most of the words that I gather just from those little interviews, but if you other interviews adds up and contribute to this is happy community, being parts of a family and so on, yeah. And as part of this public diplomacy too, there is a lot of merchandising. I just brought an example. This is from the 2015 Boise, Idaho Jaialdi, and you see that this is the shape of the state of Idaho, yeah, with an ikurriña, the Basque flag, and then on the other hand, on the other side it says, proud to be Basque, yeah. So this somehow enhances all this idea of, being Basque, of the good image Basques have, and then politicians also benefiting from that too. And this is Mancisidor, who's second generation Basque and the former president of the Oingari Basque dancers. And he claims, when talking about Jaialdi especially, but all these festivals, it is not the party for the party, but holding something that is important to us. Our ancestors arrived as immigrants, and based on the loyalty and work, Basques earned a good reputation that today we continue to benefit from. Personally, that is the heritage I celebrate, and it is much more intense than a party that lacks a similar component. And he goes on saying that, that he recognizes that Basque pride is both a privilege but also a responsibility. There is the duty of preservation there. So he says this privilege comes with a duty of preservation. Call it Basque stubbornness, but we are not willing to disappear into the annals of history. Satisfaction derived from contributing to the preservation of our identity. That pride to the individual and collective is priceless, and it is worthy of celebration. So, to sum up, some very brief final thoughts, and I'll be done because it's already 10 o'clock. So, festivals, celebrations in general create and enhance or accentuate a sense of belonging, a sense of community. They reinforce the respect and acknowledgement they have already earned, which is seriously taken as part of not only the privilege of belonging to the Basque community, but also as part of the duty to preserve all the values and reputation already earned. This takes place through the emotional attachment that is bonding to the community and hence to the idea of being Basque. In other words, although as we have seen today, festivals also mean business, finance, economy, money, something tangible, dry, let's say, heartless, The truth is that emotions play a highly significant role. Without this emotional dimension and attachment, there would be no Basque festivals. There would be no Basques in the American West. Emotions are the essence of all. Thank you.